Hey y'all, listen. I'm sleeping, but I'm gonna get this golden nugget out. I woke up at 4 this morning. Had a lot of stuff to do, and I'm still not finished with it yet. But I will get it done. I will, sooner or later. I will. And I've been trying to do this golden nugget for about 3.5, 4 hours now, y'all. So let me get it out to y'all. I had to come out on the patio, y'all, because I was like, if I stay in the house, I know I'm gonna take a nap. I know I'm gonna fall asleep. So I came out here on the patio, and I'm gonna see if I'm gonna go ahead and get this. See if I can go ahead and get this golden nugget completed for y'all. Okay. So today in prayer, when I wasn't sleeping early this morning, I should have did the golden nugget right after that, but I started getting to other stuff done. But anywho, never too late. In prayer, God spoke 3 things to me, and He expounded upon that. He talked about idols. He talked about Mammon, and He also talked about small businesses as far as putting them on the map. God had me write. I'm reading from my notebook, y'all, and I have about 3 pages of stuff that I wrote down. So I'm gonna try to get through it quickly for y'all. God said this, the fall of idols, and when God said that, He reminded me of Elijah. And He reminded me of those prophets that were going back and forth with Elijah, saying that their idol, Baal, was the true and living God. And God said, not so, of course. And Elijah said, not so. And so they were going back and forth. And so Elijah gave them a proposition. He said, I tell you what, why don't y'all call on Baal, y'all idol, and I'm going to call on the Lord God Almighty. And whichever one answers by fire, that's the true and living God. And so they all built up an idol, built up an altar, and they put wood upon it, right? Because they said they want, the God to answer by fire. And so those false prophets began to plead and 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 plead, y'all, with their false God. And they pleaded so much to where Prophet Elijah began to mock them. He began to tease them and say, hey, listen, you probably need to put a little bit more bass in your voice. I don't think they'll hear y'all. Y'all need to be a little bit louder, because maybe if y'all get a little bit louder, He gonna answer by fire. And so he was mocking them and teasing them. And the reason why he was doing that, because he understood that if you're not worshiping the true and living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, then your God is not going to perform. Your idol, your false God, is not going to perform no whatsoever. And Elijah knew that. So they pleaded and pleaded and pleaded with their false God, their false idol. And sure enough, nothing happened. No performance happened. And now it's time for Elijah to perform. And Elijah understood that he served the true and living God. How did he know that? Because he understood that it was not by his might nor by his power, but only by God's Spirit, right? And so what he said, he got real cocky, in other words. He said, you know what? I'm going to call on my God. But what I'm going to do before I call on him, I'm going to go ahead and drench my wood in water. I'm going to go ahead and drench my wood in water. I'm going to put H2O on this water. In other words, he was saying, my God, He's the God that does the impossible. Because with Him, all things are possible. What was Elijah saying? What was he really expressing when he said that He's going to put water on him? Yes, that God is going to do the impossible. But he was also letting them know that those false prophets were what? They were nothing but ventriloquists. I'm sleeping, y'all. He was letting them know that they were only ventriloquists. I think I said it right. And what does that mean? A ventriloquist, what they do, they have their hand in a puppet, and they'll move that puppet around as if that puppet is really doing the work. And that ventriloquist will also speak out of the side of their mouth, and they speak for that puppet. And that's what Elijah was saying, that they were ventriloquists, that really the idols were not real. We know that. The false God was not real. That what was really at work was man. And that is the reason why that they did not see a performance. That is why that it was not possible for anything to be done by fire. Because you do remember what Jesus said, right? Jesus said this, with man, it is what? Impossible. Can't be done. But with God, all things are possible. That's exactly what happened. And so Elijah said, well, I'm going to put H2O. I'm going to put some water on this wood to show y'all that I ain't the one doing it. This ain't going to be done by man's hand. This is done by God, who is quick, living, true God. God is a spirit, not by my might, nor by my power, but by my spirit. And so Elijah called upon God, the Lord God, true and living, right? And what happened? God performed as usual. God performed as usual. And so this is what God is saying. God is saying that he is going to do the same thing in this earth. He is going to answer by fire. Why? Because God is saying a lot of individuals, they are worshiping idols, false gods. And some of them know it. Some of them are doing it out of ignorance, and some of them are doing it intentionally. And God is saying that he is going to answer by fire. Now you may say or ask, how is God going to do this? Well, I told y'all on yesterday, and God reminded me today in prayer, that God said that he's going to do it by his light, okay? What did God say yesterday? God said, let your light so shine amongst men so that they may see thy works and glorify thy Father. What are the works? I told y'all in Philippians 2:13, God said, well, I am the one that work in you to will and do for my good pleasure. So God's saying that he's going to allow his light to shine through his true sons and daughters. And by his light shining through his true sons and daughters, work is going to be done. His will is going to be done. And therefore, those who are entangled in worshiping idols and false gods, they will see the true work in hand of God, and then it will expose the idols that they have been worshiping. They will now be able to see that the gold around their neck is fake. They will be able to see that the earrings in their ears are fake. They will be able to see that the bracelets around their wrist are fake. Why? Because now they have gone into some rain. What did God say in Deuteronomy 28? God said he will open up the heavens and rain upon the land. Well, when God is raining upon the land of the upright, you can't help but to witness the truth of the living God. You can't help but to witness the truth. And when God rains, hit the fakeness, you're going to see the green. You're going to see the rust. You're going to see the irritation around your neck. You're going to see the irritation around your ring fingers. You're going to see the irritation around your wrist. You wouldn't dare get in a pool with some fake jewelry. You won't do it because you know within a few days, you're going to see some rust. You're going to see some green. It will be exposed. The faker will be exposed. And that's what God said. He is going to allow the people to see that he is real, that he is the true living God, because he will be answering by fire. He will be answering by fire, by fire. Now listen, God also spoke to me. He said, mirror, mirror on the wall. Let me see if y'all can see it. Y'all see what it says, mirror, mirror on the wall? I know, I write like a doctor. It came from the doctor. It's a prescription. Mirror, mirror on the wall. And when God said that, I understood that God was saying idolatry. Now we know that God said that rebellion is the same as witchcraft, but God said stubbornness is what? Is idolatry, right? Exactly. So whenever you're in a state of stubbornness, which means you want it your way or the highway, now you're in a space of idolatry. Now idolatry means that you're saying it's a team of you by yourself, team of me. And the reason why you have resulted in stubbornness and have gone to a team of me is because you have no patience. You have no patience. God spoke to me self-idolatry. He said idolatry. He said pride and vanity. Anytime you're in a state of pride and vanity, that means you are in a space to where you are being worked by the spirit of Mammon. Y'all know what mammoth is. Mammon, not mammoth, Mammon. Mammon. That means earthly goods, property, riches, the love of money. When you're in that state, that means you have no patience. You ain't patient to wait on God. Stubbornness don't allow you to wait on God. And when you're in a state of stubbornness, idolatry, right? You have mammon. You want the love. You want everything that you see. You got to have this and you got to have that. You want that Mercedes. You want that BMW. You want that Rolls Royce. You want that Lamborghini. You want that 5, 6, 7, 8 bedroom house. You want this. Listen, ain't nothing wrong with having all that. It's how you want to get it. It's how you're wanting to get it. And God is saying, when you're in a state of stubbornness, when you're in a state of idolatry, you are going to the team of me to where you say, I'm going to do it myself. And when you say you're going to do it yourself, now you're not working with the power of God to obtain wealth. What you're doing, you're working by your own ability, by your own power, by your own might, to where you'll say, I'm going to go and get 2 and 3 jobs. And you end up working yourself to the ground to where you are 25, 30 years old, but you look like you pushing 75. You look like you pushing 80. That's how you are. Have you ever seen a 25-year-old? They've been working and working and working and working, but they look like they ain't had a rough life, but they ain't but 25. They ain't but 25 years old, but they look like they have walked from America to Africa on foot, barefoot, no water, and no food. They look just that drained. They look just that worn out. Why? Because you're doing too much. You're working like a slave. And God said he have not called you to be a slave to man. He most certainly have not called you to be a slave to a 9 to 5. And not just to a 9 to 5, but to multiple 9 to 5s. And you over there working yourself to the ground. God said he's the one that giveth us power to obtain wealth. And God is saying you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. God took me to Matthew, the 6th chapter, and he had me to read the 19th verse, and I went all the way down to the 34th verse, but I'm going to read a few of the verses, and I'll tell you which verses I'm reading. You can go back in your own time and read this. It's Matthew, the 6th chapter, and I started from the 19th verse, and it says this. It says, lay not up for yourselves treasure upon the earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. God says, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. See, you'll know when you're in a state of mammon. It's when that's all you can think about, when you have forgot all about the treasures of God, the spiritual realm. You forgot about being spiritual. You're so carnal. You can only think about getting that car. You can only think about that house. And you find yourself to where you're not happy, where you're not satisfied, where you're not pleasant. You don't have no joy and you don't have no peace because you have yet to receive that thing of mammon. You have yet to receive the earthly goods, the riches. And so you're in a state of not being content. God said to count it all joy in everything. God said he ain't gonna withhold anything good from you when you're upright. So there's no need for you to be in a state of discontent, to where you're trying to be in a space to where you're trying to make things happen on your own. God is saying that he's the one that will give you the power to obtain the wealth. And so God said what? Lay up. He said wherever your heart is, wherever your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So you'll, like I said, you'll know when you're in a state of carnality, when you're in a state of idolatry, because you're so into that thing instead of being into the space of spiritual. Okay? Does that make any sense? I hope it makes sense to y'all. I told you I'm a little sleepy, so I hope I'm saying it right, y'all. Hope I'm saying it right. God, word my mouth right, because you know your girl's sleepy over here. Listen, that was verse 21. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. I'm going to go down to where it says verse 24. It says, no man can serve 2 masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. God said you can't serve him and serve your fleshly wants. You know it's a fleshly want when you decide that you will not wait on God, when you decide that you're going to do it yourself, when you decide you're going to take it into your own hands, that should let you know that maybe that's not a desire from God. Because if that desire got you uneasy, if that desire, like I said, have you where you're not content, if that desire got you where you're not happy because you don't have it, if that desire got you rude to people because you haven't received it yet, that may let you know that that is not a desire from God. That is a desire that came from the spirit of Mammon, which means what? It's lust of the flesh. It came from a desire from your carnal mind, not your spiritual mind. It came from a desire from your carnal walk, not your spiritual walk. Which means what? There's no way you've been delighting yourself in God. God said when you delight yourself in Him, He will give you the desires of your heart. The desires of your heart, okay? And when God gives you the desires of your heart, you're in a space to where you are being still and knowing that God is God. You're not in a space of anxiousness. You're not in a space of anxiety. You're not in a space where you're trying to rush things to happen. You're not in a space where you think you need to go get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 jobs to make it happen. You're not in a space of stubbornness. You're not in that space, no whatsoever. You're not. So God said you can't serve two gods. He said you can't serve Him and serve Mammon. But listen at this. God said, therefore, take no thought for your life, what you should eat, what you should think, what you should drink, or what your body should wear, or whatnot. God said, behold the fowls of the air. This is the part that got me, y'all. This is in verse 26. God said, behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, which means what? They don't plant for themselves. Neither do they reap. They don't harvest the harvest for themselves, right? Nor do they gather into barns. They don't store into cupboards. But God said, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? God said, what He'll do for the sparrow, do you not think that He'll do it for you? What that sound like? That sound like what God was talking about the woman that appeared to the judge when she kept going to the judge saying, hey, do this for me. And God mentioned that judge was an unrighteous judge. He was ungodly. He did not judge righteously. And God said that judge did what? He said, man, let me get this lady what she wants. Let me give her what she desires because she troubled me. She'll make me lose my mind if I don't give her what she wants. And what did God say? God said, well, will I not do the same for my elect? God said, will I not avenge my elect? And God is saying the same thing here. God said, behold the fowls of the air. That means the birds. He said, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns. Yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? In other words, you are better than they. God said He will do it for you. Well, you won't even have to go out and look. Listen, God had me to write down. I think it's in either Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter, or it's in Numbers. One of those two, y'all. It's in Numbers or it's in Deuteronomy, where God says this. He says, He will give you cities that you did not build. Houses full of things you did not fill. He will give you wells you did not dig. He will give you vineyards and olive trees that you did not plant. God said He will do this for you. Like I said, a lot of y'all trying to work yourself to the ground by trying to make it happen on your own, and God ain't never called you to work like a slave. God said He have not called you to be a slave to nothing. He have not called you to be a slave to nothing. The only sacrifice you're supposed to be doing is to Him. God said present your body as a living sacrifice. You can only present your body as a living sacrifice is that only if His word is in you. Because God said His word is quick as living. You can't present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is a reasonable service, if there's no word in you. Because if there's no word in you, then you ain't alive. You are a walking zombie over there, okay? Now listen, God said you're better than the fowl. You're better than the bird. You're better than the sparrow. He will do more for you, okay? God says this. He says this. Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Then God says this. And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you, that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you? Then he says this, O ye of little faith. O ye of little faith. I told you, you got to be a living sacrifice. You got to have word in you. You got a little word in you. God said you can only prophesy according to the measure of faith that you have. You only prophesy according to the measure of faith you have. So the reason why you don't have anything, because you have little faith. The reason why you're not saying big things, because you have little faith. And that's because you can't prophesy. When you have little faith, you can't prophesy a lot. You got to know the word of God to prophesy it into your life. God says, speak those things that be not as though they were. But how can you speak those things that be not if you don't know the words to say? Because you have to accompany what you want. You have to accompany it with God's word. I hope that made sense to you. So God said, O ye of little faith. O ye of little faith. So God said, therefore take no thought, saying, what we shall eat. This is the second time he's saying it. He says, therefore take no thought, saying, this is verse 31. What shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or wherewithal shall we be clothed? God said this, for after all these things do the Gentiles seek. Who are the Gentiles? Those who have the mind of carnality. Those who walk after the flesh, who walk in carnality. God said those are the ones who are worried about how they going to do this and how they going to do that and how they going to get this and how they going to get that and how they going to, you're the ones that are worried about it. Those who are in the carnal state. Because when you're in the carnal state, you're trying to figure out how it's going to work out. You're trying to figure out how your end's going to meet. You're trying to figure out how the money's going to come. But when you're in a spiritual state, your mind ain't saying nothing but this. God shall supply all of my needs according to his riches and glory, which is in Christ Jesus. And listen, this is the tied in. Verse 32, God said, for after all these things do the Gentiles seek. God said, but for your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. God said, I already know what you want. I already know what you desire. I already know what you need. God said, I already know before you even ask. So why in the world, y'all, I'm outside on the patio. So why in the world are you in a space asking, what should I wear? What should I do? What should I do? How should I get there? How am I get this? How am I get that? How this gonna work out? God, I don't know how that gonna work. You and your flesh. You're trying to figure that thing out mathematically. You're trying to figure that thing out scientifically. You're trying to figure that thing out. New age religion style. God said you can only figure this thing out in the spirit. It's not by your might, nor by your power, but only by God's spirit. And that's why God said you must worship him in spirit and truth. What spirit and truth? His word. God said his word is the truth. And his word is a spirit. He is a spirit. So if you coming to God and you ain't coming to him with his word, if you ain't coming to God with faith, then listen, you're going to be over there like the Gentiles. You're going to be in your carnal state, and you're going to be over there trying to work like a dog. Work on different 9 to 5s. You 25 years old, but you look like you pushing 75. You at least look like you pushing 55. You 25 years old, but you look like you 55 years old. That's because you're working yourself down to the ground. And God said you ain't got to do that, because he's the one that giving you power to obtain wealth. Okay? Y'all got it? Now listen what God says. God said, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. This is verse 33. We still in Matthew, the 6th verse, okay? So God said, take therefore no thought for the morrow. For the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. In other words, tomorrow will take care of itself. God already got that worked out. God already got your tomorrow worked out. God said he is the one that's planned it out for you. You just got to trust that he going to lead you and he going to guide you with his left and with his light. You got to trust in him, though. And trusting in him means you trusting in his word, that you know his word. Like I said, you only prophesy according to the measure of faith that you have. And if you have little faith, you ain't prophesying a whole lot to yourself. That's why God said you have to encourage yourself. In that way, who was that? Was that Peter or Paul said, sometimes I just got to encourage myself. How do you encourage yourself? By prophesying to yourself the word of God. But if you have of little faith, then ain't but so much prophesying you can do. That's why you got to eat this word. You got to keep this word. You got to keep it in your eyes. You got to keep it in your heart, because God said out of it flows the issues of life. God said out of it you will have what? Marrow to your bones, right? Health unto your navel. God said it will bring life to you. It will. Okay. I think I covered all of that. I'm already at 25 minutes, y'all. What did God have me to put down? He said, seek and, okay, yes, God told me this. Let me show y'all. Seek and serve God only. God said, seek and serve God only. God also had me to write down altars being sacrificed to. Altars are being sacrificed to. Now, this is coming in what God is talking about, small businesses, y'all. Small businesses. Okay? God began to deal with me and let me know that there are a lot of companies, a lot of huge companies, that they are sacrificing to these idols. Whatever these idols are, whatever they deem to be idols, which is they're working of their hands, because these idols are fake. They're false anyway, y'all. But God said that they are worshiping and sacrificing to idols. That's what these companies are. And what these companies doing, they're selling their products. And when you buy their products, it comes with attachments. You wonder why stuff is off in your house. Well, maybe you just, I'm laughing because I just saw, I forget the young lady's name. And I thought God also brought to me dealing with it. Let me see if I can find the young lady's name. Let me see if I can find her name. But she talked about it. I didn't talk about it. But she was talking about Starbucks. How God revealed to her that Starbucks is worshiping a marine spirit. And I knew something was up with that mermaid with her legs open and stuff. And I knew something was going on with it. But I used to realize that every time I would go to Starbucks to go in there to work, I realized that if I bought coffee, I could never, it was just not good to me. I always tell people, I said, this coffee tastes like an the smell of an ashtray. It smells like an ashtray. It tastes like the smell of an ashtray. Let me see if I can find her, because I want to give credit. Give credit to God. First and foremost, God used her. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. What is her name? I cannot find her name. Oh, here she is. Her name is Camille Hedrick. That's CAMILE HEDRICK. Hedrick, I think. Let me see if y'all can see. Can y'all see it? I hope y'all was able to see it. But her name is Camille Hedrick. And she was talking about it, but when I clicked on her channel, I went to laughing so hard. I said, God, you was telling me that I wasn't supposed to be putting that in my body, because every time I drink the coffee there, it tastes like an ashtray. Every time I would order a coffee there, I never got their mocha, their cold coffee, but their hot coffees and beans and whatnot. It tastes nothing like, it tastes like the smell of an ashtray to me. And I was like, man, I can't digest this. But God was telling me in prayer today that there are a lot of companies that are sacrificing to idols. And when you buy their products, God is saying that it comes with attachments. That's why you got to be prayed up, and you got to make sure you pray over stuff, okay? You got to make sure you pray over stuff when you buy it, because you never know what's going on. You don't know who people sacrificing to. You don't know how people getting what they getting. You don't know what connections they dealing with. I told you the enemy will make it seem as if that idol is working, because you'll see some success. Okay, you'll see some success in it, but it won't last, because all kingdoms that is not the kingdom of God, it is not the kingdom of light, will be torn down. It is not everlasting. So listen, God said, be aware of that. And then God had me to write new businesses that will replace the businesses that were sacrifices to idols. And God said this, God said that those, and he had me write down mom and pop. Let's see if y'all can see. Y'all see the very bottom, mom and pop stores. Small businesses, entrepreneurs, which means what you may not be a mom and pop store, but you may not be worldwide. You may not be known. You may not be seeing a lot of action. You may not have been thrusted yet. But God is saying He's going to pull down one. That's what God's word said. I will pull down one and raise up another. And God is going to pull down these businesses that are sacrificing to these idols, these false gods, and God is going to replace them. God is going to put in place. He's going to put in place those who have businesses where they seek His face, where their face is turned to Him. That's why you should never be intimidated by when God gives you an idea. And we'll just use Starbucks as an example. Maybe you make a great coffee, and you know you worshiping God, and you know that you're a small bistro, right? You're a small bistro. Is it bistro? A cafe. Sorry, you're a small cafe, and you know your coffee good, and people they come there. But God said, don't compare yourself to the bigger people, because you don't know what they're doing. And as God is revealing that they are sacrificing to other idols. They're sacrificing to other gods. And God is saying, that small cafe that you saying, oh man, I'm just local. Oh, I'm just local. God is going to make you worldwide. He's going to make you worldwide. He's going to cause your name to be great. As He said, He's going to cause your name to be great. He is. He's going to cause your name to be great, and that you will be able to be recognized all over the world. That's what God said in His word in Deuteronomy 28. He said that I will establish you as my people, and the world shall know it. And God's going to establish you, okay? God also had me to go to Isaiah 60, the 22nd verse, and it reads this: a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in His time. God is going to do that thing, I'm telling you. So those are the three things that God talked about. I'm almost right at 40 minutes. Yet again, a long one. I hope y'all stuck with it. Y'all, I'm so sleepy. Y'all see my eyes. Oh, it's 5:33. It's about time for me to get in here and cook. Because my husband shall be home. And I need to have dinner prepared. Ask me what I'm cooking. I don't know just yet. I got to go in there and see what we're going to prepare. I don't know why I changed my voice. But I got to get in here and cook, because I do want food to be on the table when my husband get home and when my children also get off from work. So listen, I just want to tell y'all that God spoke on idols, mammon, and small businesses. Listen, God saying put the idols down. He's going to answer by fire. He's going to deliver y'all just like He delivered me. Because listen, I didn't even know that what I was doing was wrong. I had no idea. I had no idea that it was displeasing to God. I just thought, oh, these are natural. But crystal, they come from the earth. They come from the ground. God said, yeah, I know where they come from. I know where they come from. But you don't look to those things. You don't look to nothing to do for you what I said I would do for you. You don't do that. So be careful, y'all. If you depend, listen, that goes for man too, because sometimes we'll put man up as idols. Sometimes you'll put your wife up as an idol. You will. Sometimes you'll put your husband up as an idol. Well, you don't see nobody but him. Ooh. And listen, ain't nothing wrong with honoring your husband, with loving on your husband, but not to the point to where it's what your husband say and you ain't seeking God. Well, you can't seek God. I had to learn that too, y'all. I was like, God, I'm so glad you blessed me with this man. Let me love on my husband. I was loving on my husband too much. I know it seems like it's hard to say that, but yeah, when God bless you with something, you be so happy with it and so grateful for it. So when you keep your eyes focused on it, and your eyes have steered away from God. So God said, listen, I bless you with it. Put your eyes back on me. You still got it, but keep your eyes on me. So God is saying, don't make man your God. Don't make man your idol. God said, trust in Him. Your husband is to provide for you. but still know that it is God that is working in him to be the provider for you. So that means you're not taking away from what your husband's doing, but you're still noticing that it is God that's doing the work. It is God that is doing the blessing. It's not your husband doing it by his own hands, by himself, okay? It's not your wife doing it by herself, by her own hands. Listen, if any spouse got you thinking that they doing it on their own, you better get to praying for them, okay? Pray for them. Because they in that territory of what? Me, idolatry. So keep your spouses up in prayer. Keep your children in prayer, because you don't want to make an idol. You don't want to make an idol out of your children. Some of y'all, you so happy to have kids because you weren't able to have kids before, and now God has opened your womb, and now you got that child on a pedestal. Please don't do that, because listen, you don't want that child to fall. You don't want that child to fall. Keep that child lowly and humble before God, and you stay humble before God and thank God that your womb is now open. Okay, so listen, God is saying no more idols. He's gonna answer by fire. So to pull these people out of the state of being in idolatry and being in idol worshiping and false gods and whatnot. And God is saying that, hey, listen, that you are to trust in him, that he is your supplier, that you don't have to work hard for stuff. God said, let him do all the work. That don't mean that you don't put your hand to it, because God said faith without works is dead, but don't you work yourself like a slave over there 25 and looking 55. God said, don't do it, okay? Don't do it. He wants you to keep your youth, okay? God said he will restore your years back unto you, okay? And if you are 25 and you look 55, don't worry. God said he'll restore the years that the cankworm and the pommworm ate up, okay? He'll restore your youth back to you. He will. And also remember that God said y'all who have small businesses, God is going to honor you because you are honoring him. You are keeping your eyes on him. You're not leaning to nothing to cause you to gain wealth. God said you understand that he's the one to give you power to obtain wealth, and because you are trusting in him, you are going at his speed. God said that he's going to put you in position where he's pulling others down, okay? Because they chose to go a different route than to seek him. And God said he's going to raise you up. He's going to exalt your business, okay? You small businesses out there. So listen, don't be feeling small. Don't be feeling like a grasshopper. God going to make you mogul, okay? Going to make you mogul. He gonna make you great, your name great, okay? I'm gonna go. I'm almost at 40 minutes. I hope y'all got this. If you didn't get it, it's a long one. If you want to, you can rewind the same. Hopefully I wasn't too sleepy. Hopefully I didn't mix up any words. Hopefully I said it correctly. Hopefully I did, because I ain't doing this over. I ain't doing it over. I told you it took me about 4 hours that it took me to get this thing done, but I got it done. And listen, if you didn't get a rewind and watch again, but in the meantime, in between time, if you take just a little bit of what I'm telling you and apply to your life to the best of your ability, you will ever have to master smile. Why? Because your smiles will always be genuine. Be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed. Y'all, let me look. I always try to check. If I talk too long, I got stuff on my face, so I look like I made it through. All right, I made it out all right. Yes, I did. So listen, y'all, be blessed. Talk to y'all soon. God loves y'all. Stay away from them idols. Stay away from goat yoga. Stay away from crystals. Stay away from sage, okay? Stay away from new age religion, okay? Stay away from all that stuff. Stay away from sororities, aka all that other stuff. Listen, you ain't got to be a part of no secret society, no secret group, no secret connection group. Anything that you can't reveal out in the public and it got to be kept as a secret, you need to ask yourself, God say the darkness is still as of light to him. And he's the one that reveals secrets. God said he's the one that have mysteries. He's the one that reveals his mysteries. God said you ain't got no secrets because he see everything. Okay? So listen, I'm sorry I stepped on y'all toe at the last minute, but listen, I'm telling y'all the truth. I don't want y'all to be entangled. I want y'all to get everything God got for you. I want you to get your Lamborghini. I want you to get your Mercedes G-Wagon. I want you to get everything that's due you, okay? Because God said he has called you to have nothing but the best. He called you to prosper, to be above only, not beneath, okay? And I want you to get that. I want you to be above the nations. I want you to be in what God has called you to be in, okay? No more settling. And the only way you settle is when you detour from where God has called you. Don't take that detour. Stay on the straight and narrow. No crooked roads. Straightness, okay? I'm going to go. Be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed. Be blessed, stay blessed.